Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Sri Vadapatakamelam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsyam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvedam Savadutam Parijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lita Shri Vishakam Vidam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namastude Apta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shavano Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhya Kripa Sindhubhya Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Budale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidramine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Seva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistigi Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pangam Lanke Degirim Yat Krapatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyamishram Yonda Pravishimam Vachumimam Prasuptam Sanjeevayati Akila Sakti Dharasudamnam Anyam cha hasta charana shravanatvagadin pranam namo bhagavate purushaya tubhyam Amadidevam karunanidhanam Tamalavarnam suvidavataram Apara samsara samudra sedam Bhajamahe bhagavata swarupam Paramananda Shri Aksharayade Sarvada Sarvasevaya Hare Krishnaya Namastume Hari Om Tat Sat Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, text 8. Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam Tanto Tanvan Pritin Yajet Raksha Kama Punya Janan Ojas Kamo Marudganan. Padmamukhi Mataji and Prabhu.
Dharmartha Uttama Slokam Tantu Tanvan Pitran Yajet Raksha Kama Punya Janan Ojas Kamo Marudganan.
Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam.
Prabhuji, you moved upward, Prabhuji.
Dharmartha Uttama Shlokam Tantu Tanvan Pitranyajet Raksha Kama Punya Janan Yojas Kamo Marudganan.
Very bold. And translation, Sujay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. One should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotee for spiritual advancement in knowledge and for protection of heredity and advancement of a dynasty. One should worship the various demigods.
Very bold. One should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotee for spiritual advancement in knowledge and for protection of heredity and advancement of a dynasty. One should worship the various demigods. So one should not get confused reading this. Why in Srimad Bhagavatam, the worship of demigods are also recommended. It's very clear. One should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotee for spiritual advancement in knowledge. Okay. So what is our purpose of life? Spiritual advancement. Material advancement is a byproduct. It will come. Whatever is required will come. In order to specifically endeavor for that. And for protection of heredity and advancement of dynasty. This is material. Okay, this is for the betterment of material prosperity. So for that, one can worship various demigods. But pure bhakti, if somebody is after pure bhakti, one should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotee. Our goal is to attain spiritual advancement. That is the purpose of human life. Otherwise, if you are after material prosperity, definitely it is also, possible by worshipping various demigods. But then again, there is a repetition of birth and death in this material world, in aristocratic family and Brahmanic family and other wealthy family, for more and more material enjoyment. So, but it is there. It is part of Vedas. It's part of Veda, because it is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Vedas deals with dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So dharma is there, kama is there, artha is there, moksha, everything is there. So it's part of the Vedic culture. If somebody is interested in material advancement, definitely there are provisions in the Vedas. That's why this information is given by Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. Those who are after material advancement, wealth, prosperity, and name, fame, one has to worship demigods. But again, in the same Bhagavatam, it is recommended. These are different provisions given to those people, those who are on different level. But again, Bhagavatam, reaffirms that one should at any cost worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a devotee. Those who are on lower levels, those who are after material prosperity, material advancement, they have different provisions recommended. These are in the Vedas. But Bhagavatam stresses that those who want to advance spiritually must worship Supreme Personality of Godhead only. So what is that sloka? That recommends only pure devotional service. One should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is that sloka in Srimad Bhagavatam. Whether one needs material advancement or spiritual advancement or moksha, one should worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is that sloka.
अकाम सर्वकामो वा मोक्षकामो उदारति तीव्रेण भक्ति योगेन यजेत पुरुषं परम्.
Very good. Kama sarva kama moksha kama udaridi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham. Whether you have no kama, no material desire, sarva kama, all the material desires, okay, moksha kama for liberation, one should worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he knows what is best for us. He will award only that is best for our spiritual advancement. And whatever the minimum bare necessities of material material needs will also be fulfilled by him. So at any cost, one should worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not go after the demigods. Because as stated in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrata Deva, whoever worship the demigods will go to their planet. Whoever worship the Pitrus and ghosts and spirits, they will go to their planets, and whoever worship me alone will come to my abode. Krishna says that very categorically. So as far as devotees are concerned, they should avoid worshipping demigods for any material prosperity or material needs. It's not that to belittle the demigods, but at the same time we have to respect. They're all part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are exalted devotees, but most of them are Sakama devotees. So that's why here it is said one should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotee. Okay. So worshipping the Acharyas, the spiritual masters, because they're all as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you ask Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Surya, and a pure devotee like Narada, okay, and so many pure devotees are there, Prahlad. Okay, so what's the difference between Varuna, Indra, Chandra, Surya, and Prahlad, Narada. So what is the difference? They're all devotees, but what is the difference?
Sakama and Sakama, Prabhu?
Yes, they are Sakama devotees. All the demigods are mostly, they are Sakama. They have material desires. They want position, name, fame. But pure devotees like Haridas Thakur and Narada Maharshi, Prahlad, all of them, they don't require, they don't go after material prosperity. But can you give some example who were anchoring for material needs, then became devotee? Some example from this thing, from our scriptures. They were not
Dhruva
pure
Maharaj,
devotees.
Prabhu?
Who is
Dhruva
that?
Maharaj?
Yes,
Dhruva
Dhruva
Maharaj.
Maharaj. Yes, he was hankering for material prosperity, but then after having the audience of Lord Vishnu, he became a pure devotee. But again, because that was his desire, Lord Vishnu fulfilled that desire also. So he ruled the kingdom for 36,000 years. Then later he was, given the Dhruva planet for his residence. So like that, there are so many devotees who approached Lord with material desires. Later they became, and there are so many jnanis also like that. Brahmavadis, who are not pure devotees. They became pure devotees. Can you give some example?
Brahmavadis became pure devotee, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Sorry,
Krishna.
Prabhuji, can you repeat the question?
There are some, Brahmavadis, jnanis, who became devotees after some time. Initially, they were all Brahmavadis.
Yeah.
Then they became devotees.
Yeah, one is four Kumaras and then Sukadeva Goswami.
Yes, very bold. For Kumaras and Sukadeva Goswami. For Kumaras, they were Brahmavadis. And and how they became pure devotees? When they went to the Vaikuntha, when they reached the seventh gate of the, Vaikuntha Loka, Jaya Vijaya stopped them and Lord Vishnu interfered. And when Lord Vishnu came, when they smelled the aroma that was arising that was coming from the tulasi and the sandalwood pulp from the lotus feet of Vishnu, they got transformed. Sukadeva Goswami, he was also Brahmavadi. Then how, after hearing specifically the two slokas recited by the disciples of Vyasadeva, his own father, he was also wonderstruck how beautiful the Lord, the Varha Pitam, that sloka, and about the Utana, that's two slokas. He also became, then he immediately rushed back to Vyasadeva to hear more about Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is when Srila Vyasadeva taught him the complete Srimad Bhagavatam. He became pure devotee. So like that, there are examples of that also. So the path of religion entails making progress on the path of spiritual advancement, ultimately reviving the eternal relation with Lord Vishnu in its impersonal effulgence, his localized Paramatma feature, and ultimately his personal feature by spiritual advancement in knowledge. And one who wants to establish a good dynasty and be happy in the progress of temporary bodily relation should take shelter of the pitas and the demigods in other pious planets. So it's very clear. One who wants to establish a good dynasty and be happy in the progress of temporary bodily relations. It's not permanent. Should take shelter of the pitas, pitrulok, pitrus, and the demigods in other pious planets. Okay, because why in other pious planets? They are in the upper planet system, higher planet system, heavenly planets. So we should pray to them for our material prosperity. Such different classes of worshippers of different demigods may ultimately reach the respective planets of those demigods within the universe. But he who reaches the spiritual planets in Brahma Jyoti achieves the highest perfection. So who at last gets the highest perfection? Who reaches the spiritual planets, from where he never returns. Yad gatvana nivartande tadhama paramamama. There is no return. But even if you go to the higher planets, 70 planets, at some point of time, once the Sugurdi, once the pious credits are over, one has to fall back into this material world, into this karma bhumi. Okay, that's why. So it is not that Bhagavatam is recommending demigod worship. It is Sukadeva Goswami is giving all information to Parikshit Maharaj. So any questions or any comments? So we'll go to the next verse, text 9. Rajya Kamo Manun Devan Nirritim Tva Abhicharan Yajet Kama Kamo Yajet Somam Kama Purusham Param. Okay, Paramarada Mataji and Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu pranams. Rajakaamo manun devan ratim ta abhicharan yajet kama kamo yajet somam akama purusham param.
Translation.
Hare Krishna. ഒരു മിനിറ്റ് പ്രഭുജി, സോറി, ചാർജ് പോയി ഇതിന്റെ. One who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the Manus. One who desires victory over an enemy should worship the demons. One who desires sense gratification should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of the Godhead.
Yes. Very good. So it's a continuation of the previous verse. Little more in detail. You know, what is the particular desire, material desire that we have? Accordingly, we have to worship different, demigods or whoever it is. So one who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the Manus. One who desires victory or an enemy should worship the demons. And one who desires sense gratification should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is what all the devotees are aspiring for. Okay. Because people are of different level of consciousness. So nobody should be deprived of their desires, isn't it? So Vedas give all those people who are in different level, different modes of worship, so that they can fulfill their desires accordingly. It's not that, okay, only you take only one path. No. There are various paths. This is what you want, you will get it. And this is what you want, you will get it. But what is ultimately desired of? It is a pure bhakti. So devotees who wants pure bhakti should worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's very clear. For a liberated person, all the enjoyments listed above are considered to be absolutely useless. Only those who are conditioned by the material modes of external energy are captivated by different types of material enjoyment. Yamunacharya also says, when I think of sense enjoyment, feel like spitting on it. Because what's the use? It is, as Prabhupada says, chewing the chewed. We have been, indulging in material enjoyment from time immemorial in different bodies. Now that we are in the human body, it's a sophisticated ways of material enjoyment. But enjoyment is there, whether in the animal body or in aquatic body, trees or birds or whatever body, enjoyment is the material. It's different, little more sophisticated enjoyment in the human form of life. We have been doing the same thing. We have been, performing the same activities. Ahara nidra, bhayamaitana, the same activities. But what's the point of, chewing the chews? There's no rasa at all. Not even a drop of rasa. Just like the sugar cane, if you take, you put it through that machine so many times, 10 times. And after that, again, if you put what, you will get even one drop? No. Like that, we have had enough in different forms of lives. We were cats and dogs, we were bees, we are aquatics, we are trees and plants, birds, reptiles, everything. All the forms, 84 million species of life we have gone through. At last, we have reached this human form of life. Now, in this also, if you are doing the same thing, what's the difference between us and the animals? That's what our scripture says. So, but again, those who are in the different modes of ignorance and passion, they still want to enjoy materially. For them, there are provisions. The Vedas give various provision for them also. But why, even though Vedas are giving provisions, it is slowly and gradually to upgrade themselves to become pure devotee. It's not the straight away you have to become pure devotee. Slowly and gradually, one has to rise from the mode of ignorance to passion to goodness and to pure mode of goodness. It's a chance available only in the human form of life. This chance is not available for other species. That's why this provision is given. There is no hard and fast rule. You have to do this. Okay, this is the only way. Just like other religion says, this is the only way. That is the only way. No, according to the level of consciousness of people, different provisions, different ways and paths are given. So one can choose. So here also, for enjoyment, material enjoyment, it is possible within the that domain. Within that domain, it is possible, and one should not break any rules and regulations. So whatever rules and regulations are given in the Vedas, following the rules and regulations, one can enjoy, not beyond that. So it is regulated enjoyment. Enjoyment is possible, but it is regulated. Why it is regulated? Because that enjoyment is not good for us. It is regulated in such a way, slowly and gradually one should come out of it. Why for example, there are, who takes liquor. Okay. Why the permit is given? The liquor permit is given. Why the permit is given? Why it is not given freely? In many countries, the permit is given. Even in the Islamic countries, there are bars, but one should have permit, liquor permit to consume that. If it is openly given, without any restriction, it's not good for them. So it is being regulated. So that slowly and gradually they will understand this is not good and they should stop it. So regulations are good for us. Children are regulated, isn't it? We tell them you have to get up on time, you have to do your studies at so and so time, games at so and so time, and other recreational activities. That regulation is for improvement. So even Vedas give restrictions, do's and don'ts, prohibitions and prescriptions, so that slowly and gradually they also evolve and they become pure devotees one day. So that's the purpose. Because straight away, if Vedas instruct us, you have to become a pure devotee from day one. It is not possible because we have brought with us so many lives of samskaras. It has to be purified. So this purification is possible only by following certain rules and regulations. So that's what, especially as far as we are concerned, especially the people in the age of Kali, Nama Sankirtan, okay, chanting the holy name of Lord. That is me. So by taking up the process of chanting the holy name of the Lord, slowly and gradually we'll get purified, and we ourselves will stop all these unwanted things. We will then try to realize the purpose of human life. We'll take it up. So it's a slow and gradual process. Everybody is given opportunity. It's not that only devotees are given opportunity. Everybody is given opportunity. Some takes it, some doesn't take it. So those who accept these opportunities, those who follow the instructions, they are climbing the ladder, fast. But those who take it lightly, and they will have to struggle in different species, in different forms. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. So Vedas, it is good, bad, and ugly. It's not only better process. Everything is there. In other words, the transcendentalist has no material desires to be fulfilled, whereas the materialist has all types of desires to be fulfilled. Lord has proclaimed that the materialists who desire material enjoyment and thus seek the favor of different demigods, as above mentioned, are not in control of the senses and so give themselves to nonsense. One should therefore not desire any sort of material enjoyment, being sensible enough to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Leaders of nonsensical persons are still more nonsensical because they preach openly and foolishly that one can worship any form of demigod and get the same result. This sort of preaching is not only against the teachings of Bhagavad Gita or those of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but it's also foolish, just as it is foolish to claim that with the purchase of any travel ticket, one may reach the same destination. So Prabhupada makes it very clear. Worshipping any demigods and worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any motivation, without any interruption, or without any desires for material, and worshipping any other demigods are not on the equal level. Just like the example is given, if you buy a ticket, travel ticket from one destination to another destination, that is valid only for that destination. If you take a ticket from Chennai to Mumbai, you cannot travel from Chennai to New York with that ticket. It's not valid. So that's what Prabhupada says here. With the purchase of any travel ticket, one may reach the same destination. So it's foolish to think that if you buy any ticket and you reach any destination. So no one can reach Bombay from Delhi by purchasing a ticket for Baroda. It is clearly defined herein that persons impregnated with different desires have different modes of worship. But one who has no desire for material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this worshipping process is called devotional service. So Prabhupada has never said devotion. It's always he translated bhakti as devotional service. Okay, service. When there is devotion, when there is love, there is service. Okay. You cannot say, I love a person, I like a person, but then don't do any service. Love means you have to serve. So that's why Prabhupada always puts it devotional service. Okay. So, and this worshipping process is called devotional service. Pure devotional service means service to Lord without any tinge of material desires, including desire for fruitive activity and empiric speculation. Okay. What is that? Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavradam anukulyana krishnanu shelanam bhaktirutam. Anya abhilash shunyam. It should be zero. No abhilasha. Anya abhilasha. Jnana karma adi. For jnana, that this thing, what you call speculation. Okay, knowledge, speculation of knowledge, jnanis. Karma, fruitive activities, adi, etc. Okay, it should be shunyam. Anavradam. Okay, and how it should be? Anukulyana krishnanu shelanam bhaktirutam. It should be favorable to Krishna. Okay, Anukulyana krishnanu shelanam. That is Uttama Bhakti. Without any motivation, without any interruption, without any reason for sense gratification, without any desire for jnana or karma, one should worship the Supreme Lord. Ananya Bhakti. No other thought. One should not dilute, one should not deviate from that Ananya Bhakti. So that is what is required of pure devotees. No empiric speculation, no fruity activity. These are all not required. As far as devotees are concerned, they just want to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead at whatever cost. Just like the gopis, the inhabitants of Vrindavana, Praja. Okay, and even if they don't want to think of Krishna, they cannot. When they are engaged in material activities, household chores, they cannot do it properly because this black, boy is always disturbing them. Whereas, as far as we are concerned, We want to focus on that holy name of Lord when we are chanting, but our mind wanders here and there. We cannot focus. Their problem is something different. They cannot forget Krishna at all. Even if they want to forget Krishna, they cannot forget Krishna. That is their problem. And even if we want to remember Krishna, we cannot remember, because so many material things and desires will haunt us. We will remember anything and everything except Krishna while chanting. This is what is going on. So this is the difference between the Brajavasis and the other ordinary people like us. We are trying our level best to bring back the mind and focus on the holy name of Krishna. Trying our level best, but then it wanders office and family and children and this and that, bank balance, all these things. It wanders here and there, isn't it? Very difficult. So for fulfillment of material desires, one may worship Supreme Lord, but the result of such worship is different, as will be explained in the next verse. Generally, the Lord does not fulfill anyone's material desires for sense enjoyment, but he awards such benediction to worshippers of the Lord, for they ultimately come to the point of not desiring material enjoyment. Okay, so generally he doesn't, but if the devotee is inclined for spiritual advancement, he may sometimes fulfill the material desires, but then that awarding the material desires also will be given in such a way that they don't want any material desires. God will ensure that they don't indulge in any material enjoyment. So the conclusion is that one must minimize the desires for material enjoyment. So that's why restriction, that's why regulations. It is to minimize. Just like a chain smoker, the doctor says, you have to stop from tomorrow. Will the doctor says no? Because the doctor says knows very well that he will not be able to do that. So he will bring some regulation. Okay, you do one thing. After breakfast, you smoke 3 cigarettes. After lunch, 3. Then after dinner, 3. Like that, he will bring it down. If a person is smoking 30 or 40 a day, so he will regulate. And slowly, after few months, again he will be visiting the doctor. Doctor, now how do you feel? Yes, I'm better. Okay, now reduce from 3 to 1. Slowly and gradually, he will stop smoking. It's a regulation. So the conclusion is that one must minimize the desires for material enjoyment. And for this, one should worship Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is described here as Param, or beyond anything material. Sripad Shankaracharya has also stated, Narayana Paro Avyaktat. Supreme Personality, the Supreme Lord is beyond the material and circumvent. Why Prabhupada is quoting here Srimad Shankaracharya? Because he basically, by the will of Lord, he was propagating impersonalism. So even he accepted that Narayana is para, is beyond all the material realm. That's why he's quoting, Prabhupada is quoting Adi Shankaracharya. Even he accepts. So what to speak of the Vaishnava Acharya? So even though we are all practicing devotees, it's very difficult for us to get along also. See, it may be easy for the materially oriented people to get along, but to get along between devotees becomes very, very tough, because people are of different level of consciousness. You cannot, the moment somebody comes to Krishna consciousness or spirituality, we cannot expect him or her to be pure. They are all coming with different, impressions, different samskaras. Takes time for them to get purified. So we have to tolerate. There'll be so many times there'll be fighting, there'll be misunderstanding, difference of opinion even between devotees. So one should not think, this place is not good. Every time there was a temple. I was just listening to Jasaji Prabhu the other day. So he was telling in temple, he did not name the temple. In that temple, the brahmacharis always fighting. Every day there is fighting. So there is a murti of Srila Prabhupada also. So Srila Prabhupada's murti, everybody comes and pays obeisances. So one day, one lady, not a devotee, just, once in a while she is coming. She came and paid obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. So she had a voice, take my shoes, because along with Srila Prabhupada, the Paduka was also there. In many temples you will find their shoes, the shoes or Paduka of Srila Prabhupada. She looked here and nobody is there around. From where she is hearing this noise? And after she just, was coming out, again she heard the same, voice, take my shoes. Again she looked around, nobody is there. She was perplexed. From where this sound is coming? Instructing me to take the shoes. Third time again she heard, nobody is around. And she thought, okay, let me take this. Took the shoes, kept in her bag and went home. Okay. Then what she's not a devotee. So she kept in a box and kept it in the loft. This problems kept, in the temple, the fighting was going on. After a few years, 2-3 years, she got a dream. Take my shoes back. She heard the same voice in her dream, take my shoes back. Again and again, she is seeing the same dream. Next day, what she did, she, took from the loft that box and took that shoes and cleaned it and took back to the temple. And she was keeping that. Then, the brahmacharis immediately caught hold of her. Oh, so you are the one who stole this. We were searching for this. And we didn't know how this got vanished. Then she told the whole story. What happened, how she took these shoes from there. She told the whole story. Then why Prabhupada again came in a dream and told her to take it back, because by that time they had stopped fighting. So Prabhupada left the temple. He didn't want to be a part of the fighting. He didn't want to witness the fighting between the brahmacharis. Prabhupada left the temple. It happened in one of the Hare Krishna temple. He did not mention the temple, so like that. So they are not ordinary, they are not statue. We think that this is a statue. They are living personalities, just to facilitate us to worship them so that we are guided properly. They are not just statues, they are living personalities. Prabhupada says that I will live in my books even after I leave my mortal body. And he will live in his murti even after he left his mortal body. So they're all living personalities. They are not ordinary people how we think, So that's why in every temple we are having Prabhupada's murti. And when we pay obeisances, when we touch his lotus feet, and Prabhupada is also purifying us, empowering us, is blessing us. It's not just a formality, okay, we'll just pay prostrated pranam. So when we, with our heart, when we pay obeisances, Prabhupada is blessing us. And whatever we desire spiritually, he will empower us. He will empower us. Another story I was just hearing. Brahmananda Prabhu. Okay. Brahmananda Prabhu and another devotee, they were sent to, I think, African countries to propagate, Krishna consciousness. So Brahmananda Prabhu, along with the other devotee, and they started preaching. So they succeeded a lot. But the other devotee was a brahmachari, in saffron dress. He had some material desires. So he used the temple fund to buy a gold Rolex watch. It was, that those days it was Rolex watch was some that if you possess, you're a great person. So he had that desire that he should own that. So using this temple fund, he bought this and he was enjoying, he was always, and he's a brahmachari also. okay, having costly watch. So he was enjoying that, and he was successful in his preaching this thing also. And after 1 or 2 years, Prabhupada called all his devotees abroad for a meeting. So this brahmachari also came to, I think, Mayapur or Bombay, I don't remember. So when he came, he was thinking, oh my God, I have a very costly watch. How can I go to Srila Prabhupada? I'm a brahmachari, and a brahmachari is having such a costly Rolex watch. How can I go in front of Prabhupada? Then he thought, okay, I cannot go like that. So he, devised a plan. I will tell Prabhupada that I have brought this Rolex watch for Prabhupada, and I will give him as a gift. And he went to Prabhupada, paid obeisances, and he, cleaned the watch and very nicely, and presented to Prabhupada. This is the watch that, Rolex watch. I, brought it for you as a gift. Prabhupada wore that watch. Oh, Rolex, very costly watch. Okay. Then Prabhupada, he was in his mind, he was very nervous also. And Prabhupada said, this Krishna's money we should not waste. Krishna's money should be used in the service of Krishna only. So the devotee was telling, Prabhupada was reading my mind. He knew very well that this is, is not his money, and he spent the temple fund for buying that. So indirectly, in front of other devotees, he didn't want to chastise him, but he could penetrate through him and find out that what his, mind status was. And he told that Krishna, this is Krishna's money. Each and every penny should be spent for the service of Krishna. We should not waste Krishna's money. He got the message. Anyway, it was gifted to Prabhupada. And there is another story of that Rolex watch also. A thief, pickpocket from Mumbai had an eye in that. That's another story. And he wanted to get hold of that watch from Prabhupada. He went all the way from Mumbai to Hyderabad. And his name is, then he became later a devotee, Haridas Prabhu, okay, in Mumbai. So like that. So why I said this, because these pure devotees of Supreme Lord are not ordinary devotees. They are not ordinary people like us. They are pure devotees. They are not within the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. They are beyond. That's why in the earlier verse, one should either worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotees. He said, you got it? They are representing the Supreme Personality of God. There is no difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees. Actually, when we worship, that's why he said, dasanu, dasanu, dasa. The Lord likes his devotees to worship his pure devotees more than worshipping him. Okay. So the pure devotees are not ordinary, but the demigods are Sagama Bhaktas. They are Sagama Bhaktas. But at the same time, we have to, give all due respect to them. They are not ordinary people. They are very exalted personalities. They have been assigned certain universal affairs to perform. So they are just following the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we should know that also. Hare Krishna. So any comments or any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
One query I have, Prabhuji, now related to the story incident you told, Prabhuji, related that one. Nowadays we are doing our Bhagavad Gita sponsor, we are doing, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Going to the respective temple, but I heard that from the temple they are getting that sponsorship and they are reselling the books, Prabhuji.
They're reselling the books. I mean, that means they are not, they're taking money for that, for whatever you have sponsored. Okay, it's not reaching the right persons, right people.
That's why our Nandagopal Prabhu, he is taking whoever wants, particularly that name and everything, and he is rechecking whether it's reaching properly, like that. They are rechecking.
Okay.
Previously, how we are doing now, we are giving for sponsor. They are getting the books and they are reselling. For example, 250, 400, like that they are reselling and getting money. But we should not talk about that, Prabhuji, to the concerned person. Why people are doing like that? We should not talk, Prabhuji.
So once given is given, then it is their responsibility, their headache. We cannot go and check each and every person. With with faith, we are giving this. Okay, we cannot check each and every person. Or if you have doubt that the people are misusing that, please stop giving them. That's the only thing that we can do. One should not entertain again. Now we came to know that there is some misappropriation is going on. So please stop. That's the best way. Yeah. Why we have to continue that with that person, with that devotee, whoever it is. If they are misusing it, then please stop it. We cannot go and check each and every person, that they have received it. Any doubt, any such doubts, please stop it and see some other channel where it is not being misused. That's what
today,
we can do.
One now I am recollecting today our Bhakti Vinod Swami Maharaj broadcast. He gave one message in Facebook. He is giving the Prabhuji Bhakti Vinod Swami Maharaj, Coimbatore Temple President. In that message, now he is in Trivandrum, Palakkad.
Yeah.
He told one message how Jatayu he. When the kidnap was going on, he didn't be quiet as a spectator. He started to fight against that kidnapping, and like that, we should not be a spectator, simply watching. Sometimes, if unwanted incident is going on, we should open our mouth. Like that, one message today I saw, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that's there. See, wherever possible, if we have that ability to defend or protest, then we can. But if we are weak and if we have no ability, whether physical or mental or financial, whatever means, we should not do. If we are in a position to defend and protect, then one can do. But if we are not within that authority, then there is no use of doing that. It's a waste of time. If one has the ability to do that, protest, one has the ability to defend or fight back, for a good cause, especially for this spiritual cause, one can do that. But if we are not in that platform, if we cannot do that, better stop this business, see somebody else. We should not entertain any such thing. So we should consult some superiors. So this is what is happening. So what we should do. And if we are not in a position to take decision, so we should consult some superior authorities, get their guidance, and then we can go ahead like that. Suppose a very hefty, stout fellow is coming to fight with me. Okay, I'm a lean person. Yeah? And very stout and hefty fellow is coming to fight with me. What should I do? I should fight back or I should run away? What is advisable?
We should move away.
So like that. So we should see our position also. If we are in a position to fight and protect and defend, then definitely one can do that. If not, then the best thing is inform the concerned authorities, superiors to do the needful. Okay, Madhaji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
We'll take one more sloka. Yeah, the sloka which we referred has already come. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. So after giving all this, at last, this sloka is given. No, the recommendation is there. If you want this, you go to this demigod. If you want that, you go to that demigod. But then what is desired of us? This is what is desired of us. And who would like to? Okay. Sri Hari Kirtan Prabhu, can you recite?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Kama sarva kama moksha kama udara tere tivrena bhakti yogena yajata purusham para.
Very good. Okay, translation. Rupeshri Mataji, is it possible for you to read? Or Sujay Prabhu?
I will read.
Okay.
A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
So instruction is very clear. Person who has broader intelligence. So do we want to fall in that category? Or a person with no intelligence or little intelligence? Okay, a person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of material desire, without any material desire or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. So it's a very good instruction. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is described in the Bhagavad Gita as Purusha Uttama, Uttama Purusha, Purusha Uttama in Purushas, or the Supreme Personality. It is He only who can award liberation to the impersonalists by absorbing such aspirants in the Brahmajyoti, the bodily rays of the Lord. The Brahmajyoti is not separate from the Lord, as the glowing sun ray is not independent of the sun disk. Therefore, one who desires to merge into the supreme impersonal Brahmajyoti must also worship the Lord by Bhakti Yoga, as recommended here in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhakti Yoga is especially stressed here as the means of all perfection. In the previous chapters, it has been stated that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of both Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And in the same way, in this chapter, it is emphatically declared that Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal of the different varieties of worship of the different demigods. Bhakti Yoga, thus being the supreme means of self-realization, is recommended here. Everyone must therefore seriously take up the methods of Bhakti Yoga, even though one aspires for material enjoyment or liberation from material burden. So what do we understand from this para? Now, Prabhupada has given crystal clear instruction. Whether we are seeking liberation, whether we are seeking material prosperity, or whether we are seeking jnana, mental speculation. Whichever category we may fall, what we should do? We should only worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, slowly and gradually we will get purified and become a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. So Bhakti Yoga is the culmination of all other yogas, whether it is Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga. Karma Yoga without Bhakti Yoga is just fruity activities only. Jnana also without. But in Bhakti, we are doing karma, we are doing jnana also. So it's a culmination. Bhakti includes all other yoga systems, jnana and karma. Karma alone is not sufficient. Jnana alone is not sufficient to get out of the material existence. One should practice bhakti only. That's why it is recommended here, whether you are with full of desires or no desires or desiring for liberation, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uttama, Purushottama only. So all the earlier verses, is nullified here. Okay. It is just giving some information that those who are after material desires, they can do that, but that's not the ultimate. That's not ultimate. This is ultimate. Kama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaridi tivrena bhakti yogena. Tivrena. So it's not that, oh, I just ritually we are doing. It's not for to show somebody that we are doing devotions. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Echeta purusham param, param purusham. That is Uttama Purusha, Purushottama, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Akama is one who has no material desire, a living being. Naturally being the part and parcel of the Supreme Whole, Purusham Param, Purusham Purnam, as his natural function to serve the Supreme Being, just as the parts and parcel of the body or the limbs of the body are naturally meant to serve the complete body. Desireless means, therefore, not to be inert like the stone, but to be conscious of one's actual position and thus desire satisfaction only from Supreme Lord. So this is desireless, not to be inert, but to know one's actual position and serve the Supreme Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained this desirelessness as Bhajaniya Parama Purusha Sukha Matra Swa Sukhatvam in his Sandarbha. This means that one should feel happy only by experiencing the happiness of the Supreme Lord. This intuition of the living being is sometimes manifested even during the conditioned stage of a living being in the material world. And such intuition is expressed in the manner of altruism, philanthropy, socialism, communism, etc. by the undeveloped minds of less intelligent persons. In the mundane field, such an outlook of doing good to others in the form of society, community, family, country, or humanity is a partial manifestation of the same original feeling in which a pure living entity feels happiness by the happiness of the Supreme Lord. Such superb feelings were exhibited by the damsels of Rachabhumi for the happiness of the Lord. The gopis loved the Lord without any return. And this is the perfect exhibition of the Akama spirit. Kama spirit, or the desires for one's own satisfaction, is fully exhibited in the material world, whereas the spirit of Akama is fully exhibited in the spiritual world. So the Akama spirit is exhibited in the Vrajabhumi. Just the example is given the gopis. They have no personal ambition, no personal agenda. Only agenda is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In whatever situation, in whatever condition they are put in, they want to please the Supreme. So that is the position of Akama. In the material world, you will find all Kama only, isn't it? So in the material world, generally, one will see everything related to material sense gratification. Okay. So thoughts of becoming one with the Lord or being merged in the Brahmajyoti can also be exhibitions of Kama. So merging with the Supreme Personality of Godhead or liberation is also a sort of desire only, material desire. We want to run away from the problems. We want to run away from the miseries of material existence. That's why people are, going for or desiring for liberation. They want to merge, they want to lose their identity so that no more material miseries. If we have body, then we are subjected to miseries. If no body, if we merge in the Supreme Brahman effulgence, there is no more miseries. That's also a desire, material desire. That's why it is said here, if there are desires for one's own satisfaction to be free from material miseries. Pure devotee does not want liberation so that he may be relieved from the miseries of life. Even without so-called liberation, pure devotee is aspirant for the satisfaction of the Lord. Influenced by the Kama spirit, Arjuna declined to fight the Kurukshetra battlefield because he wanted to save his relatives for his own satisfaction. So, why Arjuna declined to fight for his own sense gratification? He wanted to save the lives of bodies of his own spirit relatives for his own sense gratification. He didn't want to follow the instructions of Supreme Lord initially. He was concerned about his own relatives. But being a pure devotee, he agreed to fight on the instruction of the Lord because he came to his senses and realized that satisfaction of the Lord at the cost of his own satisfaction was his prime duty. Thus he became a kama. So he was having kama. Before Bhagavad Gita was spoken, he was having material desires to save the bodies of his own relatives for his own sense gratification. Later, after Bhagavad Gita was spoken, he became a kama. That is the perfect stage of perfect living being. Udaradi means one who has a broader outlook. Udaram. Okay. People with desires for the material enjoyment worship small demigods. And such intelligence is condemned in Bhagavad Gita 7.20 as Hridajnana. So in 7.20 Bhagavad Gita, people desiring material enjoyment is called as, condemned. They are having less intelligence. Hridajnana, the intelligence of one who has lost his senses. One cannot obtain any result from demigods without getting sanction from the Supreme Lord. So this is also very clear. Even if demigods are awarding us some benefits or fulfilling our material desire, this is also ultimately sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. Without his sanction, even demigod cannot give us anything. Therefore, a person with a broader outlook can see that the ultimate authority is the Lord, even for material benefits. Under the circumstances, one with a broader outlook, even with a desire for material enjoyment or for liberation, should take to the worship of Lord directly. And everyone, whether an akama or sakama or moksha kama, should worship the Lord with great expedience. This implies that bhakti yoga may be perfectly administered without any mixture of karma and jnana. Okay, jnana karmadi anavrata. As the unmixed sun ray is very forceful and is therefore called tivra. Similarly, unmixed bhakti yoga of hearing, chanting, etc. may be performed by one and all, regardless of inner motive. So this is stressed here again, that one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead only, even if they have all the desires, no desires, or desire for liberation. The worship should be devoted only to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not to demigods. So it's a very clear instruction. It's emphasized here in this sloka. So any questions or any comments?
No, Prabhuji.
Anyone else? So we'll stop here. Next is text 11. Okay, so please note down. Second canto. Okay. Chapter 3, text 11. 2, 3, 11. Hare Krishna. I think somebody wants to share something.